Good morning and welcome to NTD. Here are today's top stories. President Biden shares his final Christmas message as president, urging unity and compassion. Meanwhile, President-elect Trump's holiday greetings include bold proposals for the Panama Canal and Greenland. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lights the Hanukkah candle, vowing action against Israel's enemies, and families of hostages join ceremonies while global leaders celebrate the holiday. Russia launches attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure on Christmas Day, with explosions reported across the country. Soldiers are away from families as civilians hide amid air raid alerts. Arian Pastor has that war update. A plane carrying dozens of passengers crashed in Kazakhstan, killing at least 38. But there were some survivors. A look at what we know so far. Japan Airlines flights faced delays this morning after an apparent cyber attack that left some customers stranded. We have the details. And a local pizza shop in Baltimore encounters a Christmas miracle after an unlikely hero saves the business from going under.
This is NTD Good Morning, live from our global headquarters in New York City. Here are Evelyn Lee and Kevin Hogan.
Welcome to NTD. Today is Thursday, December 26th. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you all had a great Christmas day and some wonderful time with your friends and family. I know I sure did. So thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We're heading to our top news. President Biden sent his final Christmas greetings as president. He called it an honor to wish Americans a Merry Christmas. On X, Biden wrote about liberty, love, and compassion. He encouraged Americans to embrace dignity, kindness, and decency this holiday season. The Bidens also spoke with service members stationed around the world. They shared gratitude for the troops' courage and sacrifice. On X, Biden said that giving up your seat at the Christmas table to defend your country is truly selfless. President-elect Donald Trump shared a Christmas message on Truth Social yesterday. He repeated his positions on reclaiming the Panama Canal, annexing Greenland, and making Canada America's 51st state. Trump wrote that Chinese soldiers are illegally operating the Panama Canal. He also announced Kevin Marino Cabrera as his nominee for ambassador to Panama. He is currently a Miami-Dade County Commissioner. Trump says Cabrera will do a fantastic job representing America's interests in the country. Trump also wished Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau a Merry Christmas, referring to him as Governor Justin Trudeau. He suggested that Canadian taxes could be reduced by over 60% if Canada became the 51st U.S. state. Trump also extended Christmas wishes to Greenland, saying the people of Greenland want the United States to be there. Overseas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took part in an event lighting the first candle of Hanukkah yesterday. The Israeli leader vowed to strike hard at enemies trying to disrupt Israel's way of life.
The Houthis too will learn what Hamas and Hezbollah and Assad's regime and others learned. And even if it takes time, this lesson will be learned across the Middle East.
A missile launched from Yemen triggered air raid sirens across central Israel early Wednesday. It was the fourth time in a week that fire from Yemen's Houthi terrorists set off sirens in Israel. On Saturday, 16 people were injured when a missile hit a playground in Tel Aviv. Turning back to Hanukkah, families and relatives of Israeli hostages participated in a candle-lighting ceremony in Tel Aviv on Wednesday. They called attention to the plight of their loved ones. A similar event was held in Jerusalem at the Western Wall. Some relatives cried during the lighting while holding banners with images of their loved ones. Those held captive in Gaza have been there for over a year. Hamas is holding 100 hostages, over one-third of whom are believed to be dead. The U.S., Qatar, and Egypt resumed their ceasefire mediation efforts in recent weeks. They have reported greater willingness by the warring sides to reach a deal. Meanwhile, President Biden posted on X to commemorate Hanukkah. The president wrote that he and his wife introduced the first ever White House menorah 2 years ago. Biden wrote that its display made clear that the history of the Jewish life is woven into the fabric of America. And the national menorah was lit in Washington, D.C.'s Ellipse Wednesday evening. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was in attendance.
We can all benefit from the study of Torah, the mandates to visit the sick, feed the poor, pursue justice, welcome the stranger.
Ukraine also marked the first day of Hanukkah. President Volodymyr Zelensky met on Wednesday with a delegation of rabbis to light the holiday's first candle. In Hebrew, Hanukkah means dedication. The holiday commemorates the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem in the 2nd century BC. This after a small group of Jewish fighters liberated it from occupying foreign forces. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And turning now to the political turmoil in South Korea, the country's opposition party filed an impeachment motion against acting President Han Duck-soo. The move could deepen a constitutional crisis that followed the martial law declaration earlier this month. The Democratic Party demanded Han appoint 3 constitutional court justices. Parliament approved the nominees, but Han hasn't made the appointments yet. The opposition party leader said Han failed to protect democracy. The impeachment motion cites Han's veto of a special prosecutor bill. If impeached, the finance minister will take over as president. Meanwhile, President Yoon also faces an impeachment trial and separate criminal investigations over the short-lived martial law declaration. And at least 29 people survived yesterday's fiery plane crash in Kazakhstan. The plane burst into flames as it hit the ground, but in an amazing twist of fate, some survivors began emerging from the wreckage shortly after. Here's more in that story, and a warning, some viewers may find the following footage disturbing.
A rare inside look at an on-scene crash response as rescue workers race to extinguish the flames of an Azerbaijan Airlines flight that made an emergency landing. Cameras caught the plane's rapid descent and eventual fiery crash landing.
But the pilots really fought with this plane for some time and then did a figure 8 before landing. They did 2 circles and then tried to land. So it appeared that they were trying to gain control of this aircraft and really put quite a fight up.
Rescue crews snapped into action, searching for dozens of people feared dead. The plane was carrying 62 passengers and 5 crew members at the time. According to Kazakh authorities, at least 38 who were on board were killed. Russia's aviation watchdog says its preliminary information suggested the pilot made the emergency landing after a bird strike, but the Kazakh government is working with the airline to investigate the cause of the crash.
This wasn't something that happened and then the plane was brought down. For example, on landing, you hit a flock of birds. And the altitude makes me wonder, would the birds been at that altitude?
Kazakhstan's deputy prime minister says of the 29 survivors pulled from the wreckage, 2 of the survivors are children. All of the survivors have been taken to hospitals.
And heading back to Asia, where Japan Airlines says a cyber attack delayed some flights in Japan and also overseas. Here's more.
The company says the apparent attack began at 7:24 a.m. and disrupted the company's internal and external systems. The company said it turned off a router that was causing problems and suspended ticket sales for Thursday flights. ANA, Japan's other big airline, said it found no signs of an attack on its systems. Earlier this week, American Airlines grounded flights for an hour on Christmas Eve due to a network issue affecting thousands.
Another undersea power cable in Europe faces complications. This time, it was a cable connecting Finland and Estonia. It suffered an outage yesterday, making it the 3rd undersea cable to have problems in recent months. A Hong Kong-registered cargo ship was sailing over the S-Link 2 cable when the outage occurred. Finland says authorities are looking into the outage. The problems occurred as authorities in the Baltic Sea region remain on high alert for potential acts of sabotage. This comes after 2 telecom cables were cut in November, adding to a string of outages in recent years. And now to the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine reported a major Russian attack on its energy infrastructure on Christmas Day. It targeted power plants across the country. The country's largest energy provider says this is the 13th time this year that Russia carried out a major attack on Ukraine's power grid. Ukraine's national police said at least 1 person died in the eastern region, while 6 others were injured in another area. 500,000 households were left without heating in the Kharkiv region in near freezing temperatures. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called the attack inhumane and said it was deliberately carried out on Christmas Day. Meanwhile, fighting on the front lines continue in Ukraine. For the soldiers, it's yet another year away from family. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pastar has the story.
Fighting continues at the front lines in Ukraine on Christmas Day. A Christmas tree installed at the command post is the only reminder of the holiday season for Ukrainian soldiers in Kharkiv.
It's an ordinary day for me. What to celebrate when the war is going on? You can celebrate when you are with your wife and children with your family.
My 3rd Christmas in the armed forces of Ukraine. I would love to celebrate it at home, but unfortunately, it is what it is.
Meanwhile, in Kyiv, residents had to hide in metro stations during raid alerts on Christmas Day. A woman says she's not surprised the attacks don't stop during the holidays.
We always expect so-called wishes from our neighbor.
And despite the sirens, some people in Kyiv still go to church to attend Christmas Mass.
This holiday is not about joy, but about being united. I thought that it is good that we have a reason today to ignore the sirens, even though we cannot fully dismiss them.
And in Rome, Pope Francis is calling for talks between Ukraine and Russia in his Christmas message.
May the sound of arms be silenced in war-torn Ukraine. May there be the boldness needed to open the door to negotiation.
Earlier this year, Ukrainian officials criticized Francis. This came after he said the country should negotiate an end to the war with Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky has ruled out engaging in peace talks with the possibility of losing parts of Ukraine, but he's been showing a willingness to work with President-elect Trump in negotiations. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
President Biden denounced Russia's latest attack on Ukraine, calling it outrageous. In a statement, Biden emphasized the equipment the U.S. has already sent to Ukraine and said more are on the way. And after the break, a Christmas Day visit to an iconic Midtown Manhattan store turns tragic when a taxi jumps a curb, striking pedestrians. And a look into the 2025 housing market after a rough year in 2024. The details on what consumers can expect next year when we come back.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
Supermodel Cindy Crawford doesn't just walk the red carpet, she rocks it. At 58, she steals the show and wows the press. Hollywood Life exclaims, Cindy Crawford has never lost her stunning glow. While Page 6 raves, she's still as gorgeous as ever. What is Cindy's secret? It's meaningful beauty. And now with new advanced formulas, it's better than ever. Watch as the appearance of lines and wrinkles are diminished in just weeks. It's no wonder everyone's talking about meaningful beauty.
My makeup artist said, your skin has been looking great lately. What products are you using? And I said, I'm using Meaningful Beauty. And she said, really? I've tried Meaningful Beauty before. I love those products. And then the other lady down in the trailer said, I use Meaningful Beauty. I love it.
Our new and improved formulas deliver age-defying ingredients even deeper into the skin where wrinkles begin. And this brand new offer is Cindy's most exciting ever. Because when you order, you'll get Cindy's exclusive Super Brightening Duo, a $120 value absolutely free. First, you'll get 60 of our Revive and Brighten eye masks, the celebrity secret that visibly smooths, awakens, and restores the area around your eyes. Next, discover the power of our Vitamin C Biphase Brightening Oil for an immediate boost of glamour and glow.
I'm not ashamed to say I am 53 years old. Thank you, Cindy.
The total effect of this free gift package? A red carpet ready complexion. Get all this, a $300 value for just $49.95. But you must act quickly. Results guaranteed or your money back.
So make the call or go online now and put yourself on the path to the most beautiful skin of your life. Trust me, it's worth it.
This special offer is not available anywhere else, so don't delay. Scan the code, go to meaningfulbeauty.com, or call the number on your screen now.
When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without a high school diploma. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers.
Your achievement has set an example for so many students. Most importantly, your daughter.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free adult education centers near you.
Welcome back. A Christmas Day accident in New York City. A taxi jumped a sidewalk and hit pedestrians outside a Macy's department store. 7 people were injured in the incident. Police say the driver suffered a medical episode. The accident took place at Macy's department store in Midtown Manhattan. The store is a magnet for tourists and native New Yorkers around the holidays. The injured included a 9-year-old boy, 6 women, and a 58-year-old taxi driver. 3 of the injured were taken to the hospital. The remaining 3 pedestrians declined medical attention. Turning now to an alarming discovery made after a plane landed in Maui. A dead body was found in the wheel well of a United Airlines jetliner. The flight departed from Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Authorities have not released more details about the deceased person. Officials claimed the wheel well can only be accessed from outside. Stowaways in wheel wells face extreme cold and a lack of oxygen. Temperatures can drop to as low as minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Most stowaways and wheel wells do not survive these harsh conditions. In rare cases, stowaways have survived similar ordeals in the past. Last year, someone survived in an undercarriage bay on a flight to Paris. A convicted murderer who escaped a Mississippi prison is now back in custody. Authorities say Drew Johnson ran off from a correctional institution in Leakesville on Christmas Eve. Officials say he was captured in an area near the prison. Johnson is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for stabbing an acquaintance to death. He has also been violent behind bars, attacking another prisoner in the head with a brick and setting multiple fires. Johnson is also facing a pending murder case in Rankin County, Mississippi. We're moving on to Colorado, where a baby was found in a car seat in the median of a busy street. The Adams County Sheriff's Office said the 1-month-old child found on Christmas morning was wearing only a diaper. The infant was taken to a children's hospital as a precaution. Authorities say they were able to get in contact with the baby's family. The parents are now facing charges after their arrest. Now, cat owners, listen up. Northwest Naturals is recalling a batch of its pet food. The recall follows the death of a cat that ate the product contaminated with bird flu. The recall is for Northwest Naturals' 2-pound feline turkey recipe raw frozen pet food. The company says the food tested positive for bird flu, and Oregon agriculture officials say that led to the death of a house cat. The recalled packages have best if used by dates of May 21st, 2026 and June 23rd, 2026. The pet food was sold in 12 states as well as the British Columbia. Consumers who purchased it should immediately throw it out and contact the store for a full refund. Now, 2024 was a rough year for the housing market. Buyers were met with high prices, sluggish sales, and high interest rates. In today's Consumer Watch, we have details on what buyers can expect next year.
The housing market has had a tough year, but if you're looking to buy a home in 2025, experts predict there's some good news.
It's going to be a better year for home buyers.
Lawrence Yoon with the National Association of Realtors says more homes are expected to come onto the market, giving buyers more options.
So more choices, more inventory, that will lead to boosts in home sales.
The other good news, mortgage rates are expected to come down. As of last week, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was 6.72%, according to Freddie Mac. But Yoon predicts those rates to come down closer to 6%, which can make a big difference for your wallet.
Even a 0.5 percentage point change in mortgage rate could mean about $150 savings in monthly mortgage costs.
Here's the bad news. Home prices aren't expected to come down anytime soon. In fact, they're expected to rise. The NAR predicting the median existing home sale price to be $410,700 in 2025. But Yoon recommends buyers should still negotiate on the price and shop around for the best mortgage rate.
Look for the mortgage lender who offers the best rates, and even consider adjustable rate mortgage.
And if you are in the market to buy a home, Yoon suggests not taking on large debt like a car loan before you're approved for a home loan.
This holiday season, beware of fake websites. Scammers are getting smarter and more sophisticated at tricking consumers. Here's the story.
Beware of fake websites.
We have this one company who sells replacement parts for fitness equipment. The scammers went and stole their logo, put it on a site that sells they don't sell anything, actually. It's just a fake site.
Business coach Phil Masiello has a client called Fitness Parts Warehouse, which was the victim of a fake website scam. The scammers copied its site, hoping inattentive shoppers would spend their money there.
A customer sent them an email and said, I bought this product. The customer got mad, sent them a screenshot of what they bought and their checkout page and their completed order, and said here, and they said, well, that's not our site.
Masiello says scammers can copy a website in around 2 minutes and start selling fake products there. In this case, the oblivious customer gave the scammers $36. Fake websites also trick you into giving personal information, such as usernames, passwords, and credit card numbers. Some sites give viruses. To identify them, first, look at the URL. A fake URL may seem legitimate at first glance, but a closer inspection may reveal flaws. For example, apple.com could be spelled with an uppercase I instead of a lowercase l. A useful tool is whois.domaintools.com. Go here to search the URL and get information about the website, such as how old it is. Young sites are more likely to be fake. Masiello says shoppers also just have to be attentive.
This guy is buying a GE range temperature limiter. Why would you buy that on Fitness Parts Warehouse? So it's obviously a scam.
Masiello says these scams ramp up during the holidays when people are shopping. The scammers think people aren't attentive, and many aren't.
Coming up, President-elect Trump's incoming Department of Government Efficiency is expected to face considerable pushback as they seek to slash the Pentagon's budget. We analyze what they plan to do. And who will fill Senator Marco Rubio's seat after he joins the Trump administration in a few weeks? Trump's daughter takes herself out of the running, and former Congressman Matt Gaetz jumps in.
Shen Creations, the streaming platform from Shen, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
بیست و سه سال 16 سال عمري ما هفت
اما داعش کردیان برانبر خشک و دایکان یزدی ما کاری که دور دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و مافکانی مرو و انسانیت او بارودوخی که است های به تایبت لعراق و سوریا بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
مریم بو او هفت روز بو و داعش از کرد
تامبوم كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بهار في ذا نبو باوان رحمنا
ودمنا سؤالنا من خادران نزل باوان نفستم بس نا ما قوبس ناش بيجوش باش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زارود وان همو جيبر تي حمري زارود الدمع واسسي وان همو جيبر
وحشیگریه که توا عیاره ظلمی که یک جار زور گوره لما افرطانه کرده و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده که اما نه روزانه دست فروشیده
اليوم التوزيع كلنا نصيب.
Imagine being a child, having a child mentality, and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us now, here are some of today's top headlines. A plane burst into flames as it hit the ground in Kazakhstan yesterday, killing at least 38 people, but officials say there are at least 29 survivors. Russia's aviation watchdog says preliminary information suggests the pilot made the emergency landing after a bird strike. The Kazakh government is now working with the airline to investigate further. Kazakhstan's deputy prime minister says 2 of the survivors are children. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took part in a Hanukkah ceremony yesterday and vowed to strike hard at enemies like the Houthi terrorists. This as a missile attack from Yemen triggered air raid sirens in Israel yesterday, marking the 4th incident in a week. And families of hostages held in Gaza lit candles for their loved ones. In the U.S., meanwhile, global leaders joined Hanukkah celebrations. President Biden shared his final Christmas greetings as president, calling for unity. He thanked U.S. service members for their sacrifices during the holidays. President-elect Trump also issued a Christmas message outlining controversial proposals for Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. Doge, or the Department of Government Efficiency, is gaining support from the left, especially when it comes to the defense budget. Both Senator Bernie Sanders and Vivek Ramaswamy agree that it is overdue for an overhaul. Let's bring in Mike Leon, our NTD News contributor and the host of the Can We Please Talk podcast. Good morning, Mike. Good to see you. Now, first, what's behind the bipartisan support here, do you think? What exactly is it that both sides agree on?
Hey, Evelyn, good to see you first and foremost. Well, first off, I think they see the number, right? The defense budget has risen incrementally year over year, right? From $609 billion back in 2023 fiscal to now it's around $895 billion fiscal, so of 2025. So they both see the number rising, right? And then obviously the military contracts that are out to some of these, private contract companies and the amount of private contract employees that we have working in the government space is almost a 2-to-1 ratio, according to the Brown Institute. So I think that's where the compromise is right now. I know there's a lot of people saying, why are there so many Democrats that are in support of what the Doge committee wants to do? Representative Jared Moskowitz, Representative Ro Khanna, Senator Bernie Sanders, like you just mentioned, have all come out in support of this, and they do want to do something about being more efficient and more streamlined. I think it's those two things. I think it's the number, and they see the total defense budget, and I think they also see the military complex in terms of the private contracts that are being doled out to some of these companies like Boeing and Northrop Grumman.
Right, so a number that's still very much on the rise, and the Pentagon budget now accounts for more than half of the U.S. discretionary spending. So what would this mean in terms of how big of a role the Pentagon could play when it comes to this $2 trillion budget cut goal?
Yeah, so this is the magic question right here, Evelyn, because, I was speaking to a correspondent who kind of covers the Pentagon and global affairs recently. We had this kind of back and forth because Donald Trump ran on a strong military, but no new wars, right? So if he wants a strong military, that requires spending. However, when we just talked about before, the number rising to that level would mean that they'd have to make some cuts. So where do you actually make some of these cuts? Where do you actually begin the GE part of Doge, which is government efficiency? And that's going to impact people. That's going to impact unemployment. That's going to impact maybe not getting the type of weapons and the type of like F-35 planes that we would get from a Boeing, and stripping some of these contracts and kind of, at least itemizing or line item crossing out some of these things that we have in the spending that we do as a Department of Defense. And I think that's where Vivek Ramaswamy and Bernie Sanders and others that are going to be at least spearheading Doge or advising Doge are going to say, look, there are certain things that the U.S. can do right now, even though there are a lot of conflicts going on globally of what just happened in Syria. You just mentioned before Bibi Netanyahu, obviously he's fighting two things across his borders with the war in Gaza and what's happening in Lebanon. There's a lot that's going on that the U.S. is helping from a spending perspective and also providing weapons to. And I think there are certain things that Donald Trump will want to keep us safe in terms of the amount of weapons that we have to protect the homeland. But then there's also going to be some things that we want to strip out that we don't necessarily, maybe there's an elimination of redundancies that we have that we can start to look at. And I think that's what Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are going to really try to tackle.
Right. And what type of political impact do we expect, and in terms of pushback, and when it comes to this undertaking, specifically the Pentagon, do you see already complications for this?
Yeah, no, look, I'm really glad you mentioned this. Well, first and foremost, who's going to be the Secretary of Defense, right? Will it be Pete Hegseth? Because Pete Hegseth has already brought in the partisan politics, let's say, for lack of a better term, into this. So I think that's going to be first and foremost the first thing to watch. And he's going to be the person that's going to be spearheading a lot of this and the largest military in the world. So he'll be instrumental in all of this. And I think he does want to play along with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. If it's not him, if it's somebody else that, let's say, has been, longer in the DC circles and at least within the Defense Department or has worked for the Pentagon in some capacity, it will be somebody that will talk about the politics part of this, which is what I just mentioned before. There's going to be the veterans budget that's going to be looked at. Maybe that will be cut. There's a lot of employees that we pay that keep us safe, Evelyn. And if we start to eliminate workers, if we start to eliminate government contracts, the lobbyists for some of these companies like a Boeing, like a Northrop Grumman, like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of people out of work. And the political impact of that will always be, their vote. I can draw back a through line to here in Florida, DeSantis, tackling Disney. Well, Disney's the largest employer here in the state, right? Over 75,000 people work for Disney. And that was something that you saw later on, he started to at least quell a little bit more of. And I think that's going to be something that Pete Hegseth, if he's confirmed, and the Doge with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are going to look at the political impact of this, because if they do start to make cuts, it could impact 2026 and how people vote.
Right. So since we're talking about complications, and you mentioned Trump was running on a strong military, but no war. Well, the wars are going on, and Trump actually increased the defense budget in his first term. So now some analysts are already saying that it might be hard to get him to support defense budget cuts, especially if it comes to a larger scope. What do you think?
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was alluding around before, because it's so antithetical to what Donald Trump has done in his first administration, but then also what he's run on, right? Because the peace through strength thing, the second part of that sentence means there's strength, which means that the military needs its backing, which means the military needs its weaponry, which means that there needs to be the strong positions and footholds. And the only way you get that is through paying employees, is through some of these contracts, is to making sure that we have all of the weapons and resources that the U.S. military needs to defend its positions, not only here at home, but abroad. And I think Donald Trump, he hasn't really said much, obviously, outside of that one press conference that he's done recently and some True Social posts. He hasn't really talked too much about this intricately, right, in terms of the Department of Government Efficiency and what their role is going to be. He's talked about appointing both of these folks, but we really haven't seen what he has said will come to fruition from this Department of Government Efficiency, because we still truly don't know what it is they want to cut. We're obviously analyzing the defense budget because of how much it's ballooned year over year, but we really don't know if this is truly going to be the one place where Donald Trump, puts the stop sign and says, look, there are certain things that we can't cut here. We can't go down to a $500 billion defense budget, given all of the conflicts that we have, not only currently, but ones that are projected, especially if China goes into Taiwan and the aggression of China there. So there are certain things that I think Donald Trump will stop, Evelyn, but it'll all play out once January 21st comes around.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, Mike Leon, for coming on this morning. Happy holidays to you, and hope you have a great time with your family.
Thank you, Evelyn. Happy holidays to you, too.
President-elect Trump says he is going to reform FISA courts. He's taken issue with them ever since he said the FBI spied on his 2016 campaign. Our legal correspondent, Arlene Richards, reviews what he aims to change.
President-elect Trump has a laundry list of goals to bring down what he calls the deep state. Here's goal number 3.
We will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to.
FISA, or Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, generally permits U.S. intelligence agencies to spy on foreigners while they are outside of the U.S. In 2016 and 2017, 4 different FISA court judges signed off on warrant applications submitted by FBI officials. Those warrants gave the FBI permission to spy on President-elect Trump's 2016 campaign and his advisors. The last 2 applications falsely accused Trump aide Carter Page of being a Russian agent, linking him to Russian officials who were said to be interfering in the election on Trump's behalf. In 2019, an Inspector General report found that there were at least 17 significant errors or omissions in the Carter Page FISA applications. At that time, Inspector General David Horowitz expressed his concerns at a congressional hearing.
Particularly, the FBI's failure to adhere to its own standards of accuracy and completeness when filing applications with the applications for Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act Authority, known as FISA, to surveil Carter Page, a U.S. person who was connected to the Trump for President campaign.
The FISA court publicly criticized the FBI for mishandling the information and ordered them to explain. Since then, Trump has repeatedly called for reform. How will he do it? In April, Trump successfully convinced House Republicans to block a bill that would reauthorize Section 702 of FISA, which allows agencies to spy on foreigners located overseas. The warrants against Page were obtained under a different section of FISA, Title I, which allows surveillance of Americans acting as foreign agents. But reports revealed that FBI analysts were abusing Section 702 by obtaining phone data on Americans. Republicans pushed for amendments that would require a warrant. But President Biden extended Section 702 for 2 more years. Trump has another idea. He nominated Kash Patel as the next director of the FBI. The FBI also spied on Patel. In an interview on the Sean Ryan Show in September, Patel called for major reform.
But once you get a FISA, and I use this all the time to manhunt terrorists around the world, once you get a FISA, you basically just hoover in all this intel, all this data. And on paper and in theory, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, the problem is the people given the FISA authorities in the deep state at the leadership levels, they're the ones that abused it.
Patel supports using the data to fight against terrorism, but he has a plan for stopping the abuse.
You go to D.C. and you remove all these positions, right? And you start enacting measures, not of retribution, but of legal consequence.
Patel might start with the officials who collected data from his phone records and emails. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
After the break, a local pizza shop in Baltimore experiences a Christmas miracle after an unlikely hero saved the business from going under. And Shen will begin its 2025 touring season in Europe tomorrow after making stops in Atlanta, Georgia, and Nagoya, Japan.
Say goodbye to harsh, bitter coffee and hello to a delicious, smooth brew. With specialty quality beans, expertly roasted in-house, you'll taste the difference with every sip. Fermented with a blend of 50 enzymes, Dave's Coffee delivers a rich brew like no other. Made with the highest grade specialty beans available, you're sure to taste the difference. Elevate your morning with Dave's enzyme fermented coffee.
Is deep sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritang green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals, especially vitamins A, D, E, calcium, and iron. With natural processing and no harmful chemical additives, it has more than 90% concentration of omegas 3, 6, 7, and 9. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritang omega-3 does not smell of fish and contains no pollutants, so both adults and children can safely and easily consume it over a long period of time. Puritang green vegetable omega-3, greener, healthier, and more effective. Visit puritang.com to learn more.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending, right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
A real-life elf on the shelf is taking over one North Carolina town, and a local business in Baltimore is able to stay open thanks to a big Christmas gift. Take a look.
You better watch out, you better not cry, because a real-life elf is watching you in Troutman, North Carolina. Meet Dale. He works for the town's Parks and Recreation Department. His boss came up with the fun idea, and Dale was up for the challenge. He's appeared in more than a dozen places around town.
They loved it. They're honking and hooting and screaming, and I think the adults like it probably more than the kids do, actually.
If you like cheesy stories, this one's for you. It's a Christmas miracle for one pizza joint in Baltimore. Dave Portnoy, the guy who runs Barstool Sports, is also famous for his pizza reviews. He recently traveled to Tiny Brick Oven in Baltimore to try their pizza.
I really like it.
The good news is he loved their pizza. Bad news is the workers told him the joint has to close their doors because they don't have a liquor license. Well, Dave couldn't accept that.
There's no way this place should be going out of business. None.
So we offered to help out.
We could probably get our liquor license and continue to stay open if we had 60,000. Would that be
done?
Done?
Done.
Oh my God!
He posted the whole exchange on his X account. Early Christmas present for these folks, as they'll likely be able to stay open now. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jen Sullivan.
How lovely. Now, locals, tourists, and dogs soaked in the Christmas spirit at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia yesterday.
Our first Christmas on Bondi Beach. It's been a good morning so far. We've had a dip in the sea. It's pretty warm, not a cloud in the sky. And yeah, the orange juice is flowing.
It's going well.
Factor 50 on, of course. From England, you can't take any chances. So we're having a good time.
Loving it, not missing home at all. Obviously only been here 3 days, so just sinking in now, but to wake up this morning and come to the beach on Christmas Day is something quite special.
Beachgoers enjoyed the sunny weather and festive vibes. Sydney's famous ocean beaches attract global tourists with golden sand, making Christmas Day is one of the busiest for volunteer lifeguards. They patrol Bondi Beach's over half-a-mile stretch, ensuring swimmer safety. On Christmas Day, Shen Performing Arts began its 2025 European tour with its arrival in Italy. The artists are set to perform for audiences across 14 countries, and NTD was there. Let's take a look.
New York-based Shen begins its highly anticipated 2025 European tour with Italy as its first destination. On Christmas Day, after a transatlantic flight, artists of Shen Performing Arts arrived at Milan Malpensa Airport. They were greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of fans with cheers and flowers.
We've been busy rehearsing over the past 6 months, all in preparation to present a brand new program for everyone. We've also been eagerly looking forward to seeing our European audience again, so I'm really thrilled.
Just arriving, I'm very excited, and I know that Italy is very steeped in history and culture from all ranges of genre. So I'm very honored to be here.
Every time I come to Europe, I'm always so inspired by how beautiful it is and by the history. So I really hope that through our performances, I can give some of that back to the audience.
The name Shen can be translated as the beauty of divine beings dancing. Through music and dance, Shen aims to revive the glory of divinely inspired Chinese culture. This relationship between Shen's art and spirituality was also explained by the artists.
I think that art itself exists to glorify the divine. In ancient Italian art, especially during the Renaissance, this characteristic is especially prominent. Shen is essentially doing the same thing, reviving tradition. I also hope that through our performances, we can inspire people's inherent kindness and their divine nature within.
You could say our music is divinely inspired. It's got these melodies that are told directly from the perspective of portraying all of these traditional, like I said, ethnic dances or traditional stories.
According to the artists, the audience can expect to obtain profound benefits from watching a Shen performance.
I think since Shen shows like the very spiritual side of Chinese culture, it sort of gives people that hope or that inspiration to find that goodness in themselves again.
A sense of hope, a sense of the future that will be brighter and brighter, and are really joyful. It's a really joy. It's really joyful, Shen.
As Shenying's Italian tour approaches, Italy's political leaders have extended their warm greetings. Federico Rocca, Councilor of Rome, says, quote, "Another extraordinary tour of Shenying is about to begin in our country. They will surely amaze Italian audiences once again with their artistry and mastery."
I am very moved by their arrival. It is a great joy that I feel in my heart, this hope that they will bring here to Italy. A message that we very often hear from the audience is that it's a show that changes their lives. This show brings them great hope, and they are really very happy to see it again year after year.
Over the next 5 months of the 2025 tour season, Shenying will perform for more than 600,000 people across 14 European countries. Beginning in Florence, Italy, audiences in 61 cities will have the opportunity to experience Shenying's marvel firsthand.
Now let's take a ride down memory lane and catch a ride on one of New York City's vintage trains. Every year, the New York Transit Museum hosts its holiday nostalgia rides. It's where train lovers and vintage lovers gather to experience a piece of history for the price of a regular train ride. Now watch as NTD Stephania Cox takes us back in time.
If all the Christmas trees, sparkling lights, and cold weather wasn't enough to let you know that the holiday season is here, the New York City Transit nostalgia train rides will be sure to make you of that. We've got hundreds of people here gathering to get on a train from the 1930s, and some of them are dressed to perfection in era in their best vintage gear.
Well, this is my first time going, and I love it. It's so nice, and we get to meet so many other people like us, so it's wonderful.
My grandfather was in World War II, so I can kind of look at his pictures and kind of recreate that for the public to kind of honor what he did, as well as, you know, all the millions of others that served during that time.
So this is a true 1940s vintage coat. This is a 1940s sweetheart necklace, and I also have a 1940s dress on underneath this as well. We got the vintage compact as well. So we're trying to keep it all original today.
Tell me about your outfit.
Oh, I got it in Harlem. So right down the street, guy fitted me up and that was it. So yeah, I got it yesterday.
Wow, especially for this?
Yep, for this. And then if I could get this open.
I am dressed as Spider-Man Noir from the 1930s, from the Spider-Verse comics, and also in the movies as well.
What do you think of the train?
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. I love the history of the train. That's what I love about New York. You know, you get to know about the history, how does it feel like to ride the old trains back then.
Let's go check it out.
It's nice to see something from the past. Let's talk about these old ads that are out here. Oh, was that really the price of a Guinness? Was that really what Coney Island was like?
My background's as an archaeologist and historian, so I always love any sort of moments to engage in kind of vintage history and sort of see things in action the way they might have been.
Feels as if almost we went through a portal, went back in time, and now we're in the 1930s.
That's amazing.
This is a double-breasted jacket from somewhere in Connecticut. Again, trench coat, opera scarf, kind of incorporating a couple different eras from the 1930s to the 1960s.
This is how I dress up anyways. I was in the same outfit yesterday. How about you?
This was a gift from when he traveled abroad, so I usually love to dress up in kind of 1930s style every once in a while, so this was a perfect opportunity to do that.
This is a 1953 Mamiya. This was a press camera and a studio camera. This is a good community, a lot of old school film guys, and we get to actually have people who understand what we're talking about again.
So you grew up riding these trains?
Yeah. In fact, I loved trains so much as a kid. When I went to high school, I had a buddy, and I used to meet him on days off when we had holidays, school holiday, and we used to meet and ride the trains. We'd do the whole system back and forth, and it's a big treat. I can't believe I'm riding in this. It's like a freight, not a freight car. Yeah, like a freight car. Yeah. I'm trying to, like a box car, you know, with the sliding doors. I mean, it's riding like that. The new ones are so smooth.
And when you do this more often, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces.
And they stay on the whole day?
Yeah, they stay on and they go all the way to the end. They get off and then they jump back on and it comes back and they keep going back and forth.
Catch the vintage train 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays till New Year's. Be sure to bring your vintage gear and your holiday cheer. Reporting in New York City, Stephanie Cox, NTD News.
How fun. All right, we're wrapping up our show right here, but be sure to stay tuned for NTD News today at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's still coming up. Also, for round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. Thank you now so much for watching. I'm Evelyn Lee.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days. So maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, or that your patio door isn't closing fully, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money all year long. And that means now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. Most installations are usually done in just one day. Renewal by Andersen windows and doors can help lower your heating bills and air conditioning bills with their most energy efficient glass available. Only their windows are made with Fibrex material, proven to be 2 times stronger than vinyl, and they're backed by a 20-year warranty. And right now, when you buy one window or patio door, get one at 40% off. Plus, there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months. Plus, an additional $200 off your entire purchase.
1-800-968-1443.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses.